I found her in my bathroom, wearing my robe, brushing her teeth with my toothbrush. Her name was Genevieve Laurent, Stylist to the elite, and she had just made the biggest mistake of her career. This is how I ruined her in front of 300 guests and the entire fashion world. Let me tell you how it started. With a business card and a name I should have never trusted. The business card felt expensive between my fingers. Heavy stock. Embossed letters. Genevieve Laurent. Fashion stylist to the elite. She's the best, whispered Patricia Whitmore at the country club. Did Princess Margot's wedding. Lady Pemberton's daughter's debut. Simply divine. Ava's 18th birthday was 6 months away. The debutante ball would be the event of the season. Everything had to be perfect. I called that afternoon. Genevieve arrived Tuesday morning in a cream Bentley. Tall, willowy. The kind of bone structure that made lesser women feel inadequate. Her portfolio gleamed with photographs of impossibly beautiful people in impossibly beautiful clothes. "Mrs. Sinclair," she said, extending a manicured hand. "I understand we're planning something extraordinary." Her accent carried hints of Paris and finishing schools. Old money pronunciation with new money ambition. "The most important night of my daughter's life," I replied. She smiled, perfect teeth. "Then we mustn't disappoint her?" Ava emerged from upstairs still in pajamas. 17 and magnificent with Charles's dark eyes and my stubborn chin. Genevieve's assessment was immediate and thorough. Exquisite bone structure. We'll emphasize the shoulders. Minimize the waist. Something in ivory, I think. Or perhaps champagne. Within an hour, Genevieve had spread fabric samples across my dining room table. Silk. Satin. Tulle that caught the light like spun sugar. She spoke of designers I'd never heard of, ateliers and Milan seamstresses who'd dressed royalty. "The gown will be one of a kind," she assured me. "No one else will have anything remotely similar." Charles wandered in around lunch. He'd been working from home more often lately, claiming the office was too distracting. At 52, he was still handsome in that well-preserved way. Wealthy men achieved through personal trainers and dermatologists. "Charles, meet Genevieve," I said. "She's styling Ava's debut." His handshake lingered. "Pleasure." Genevieve's smile sharpened. "The pleasure is mine." Something shifted in the room. A current I pretended not to notice. The fittings began the following week. Genevieve arrived every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 sharp. She brought assistants sometimes. Other times she came alone. Charles always seemed to be nearby when she did, just checking on the progress. He'd say, appearing in the doorway with coffee he didn't drink. Genevieve encouraged his presence, asked his opinion on necklines, requested his thoughts on hemlines, touched his arm when she laughed at his jokes. I watched from the kitchen, smiled when appropriate, played the oblivious wife. The guest list grew to 300. Old money families, new money entrepreneurs, fashion editors, society photographers. Everyone who mattered would be there. "We'll need flowers," Genevieve announced during one of our planning sessions. "Something dramatic. Orchids, perhaps. Or peonies if we can source them out of season." Charles leaned forward. "I know a florist in the city, exclusive clientele, could arrange something special." "How thoughtful," Genevieve purred. They went together the next day. Returned 3 hours later with samples and stories about lunch at a little bistro nobody knew about. The champagne tasting happened 2 weeks later. Genevieve insisted on French imports only. Charles volunteered to drive her to the wine merchant. "Such a devoted father," she commented when they returned slightly flushed and laughing. I nodded. "He tries." The late meetings started in July. Genevieve would arrive after dinner to discuss final details: menu adjustments, seating arrangements, music selection. Charles would join them in his study door closed, voices low. Important decisions. He'd explain later, crawling into bed well past midnight. I said nothing, just smiled and kissed his cheek. The charity gala in the Hamptons provided the perfect opportunity. 3 days away from home. Board members' wives and their endless committees. Charles claimed a work emergency at the last minute. Such a shame, he said, not meeting my eyes. Critical client meeting. Can't be postponed. I kissed him goodbye Friday morning, drove away in my Mercedes, circled back an hour later. The cream Bentley sat in my circular driveway like it belonged there. I used the service entrance, moved through my own house like a burglar. Their voices carried from upstairs. Laughter, water running. The intimate sounds of people comfortable in shared space. In my master bathroom, Genevieve stood before my mirror, brushing her teeth with my toothbrush, wearing my silk robe. Her hair was loose, still damp from my shower. Charles hummed in the bedroom, some jazz standard he played when he was happy. I backed away silently, left through the kitchen, drove to the Hamptons, and smiled through 3 days of fundraising luncheons. When I returned Sunday evening, the house smelled like her perfume, something French and expensive, a scent that would linger in my curtains for weeks. How was the meeting? I asked Charles over dinner. Productive, he replied. Very productive. Genevieve called Tuesday to confirm our Thursday appointment. Her voice carried new confidence. A woman who believed she was winning. I have wonderful news about the gown, she said. The final fittings are complete. Ava will look absolutely radiant. She would, but not in the way Genevieve imagined. I spent Wednesday making phone calls. Old connections from my publishing days. Editors at Vogue and Harper's Bazaar. PR executives who owed me favors. Social media influencers with millions of followers. Something delicious is brewing, I whispered to each of them. High society scandal. Fashion world drama. Keep your calendars clear for Saturday night. I leaked just enough to build anticipation. A stylist sleeping with a client's husband. A debut turned spectacle. Names withheld but details tantalizing. The RSVPs multiplied. Media requests flooded in. What was supposed to be an intimate debutante ball had become the must-attend event of the season. Genevieve arrived Thursday glowing with satisfaction. She'd had her hair done. New jewelry. The confidence of a woman who thought she'd already won. The final dress fitting went beautifully, she announced. Though I did make one small change. Oh, I had the seamstress create a second gown. Similar design but in midnight blue. For myself. I thought it would be lovely to match the theme. My smile never wavered. How thoughtful. She'd taken Ava's design, made it her own, planned to upstage my daughter at her own debut. That evening, I called my lawyer. James Morrison had handled the Sinclair family affairs for 30 years. Discreet, thorough, unforgiving when it came to protecting his clients. I need divorce papers, I said simply, and I need them Saturday night. Claire, are you certain? Completely certain. Public service, make it memorable. Friday brought a flurry of last-minute preparations. Flowers arrived by the truckload. White orchids and pale pink peonies, exactly as Genevieve had specified. The ballroom at the Meridian Hotel sparkled with crystal and candlelight. Charles grew increasingly nervous as the evening approached. He'd showered twice, changed ties 4 times, checked his phone constantly. Big night, he muttered, adjusting his cufflinks for the 10th time. Indeed it is, I agreed. Saturday dawned clear and bright. Perfect weather for a perfect evening. I spent the morning at the salon with Ava, who chattered excitedly about her debut. "I can't believe it's finally here," she said, as the hairstylist worked magic with her dark curls. "Do you think people will like the gown?" "They'll love it," I assured her. "You'll be the most beautiful girl there." The truth, but not the whole truth. By 6 o'clock, guests began arriving at the hotel. I stood in the receiving line with Charles and Ava greeting old friends and new acquaintances. Everyone seemed unusually animated, expectant. Word of a potential scandal had done its work. Genevieve made her entrance at 7:30. The midnight blue gown fit her perfectly. Too perfectly. She'd copied Ava's design exactly down to the intricate beadwork and flowing train. She glided through the room accepting compliments, posing for photographs, playing the role of star stylist who'd created the evening's magic. Charles watched her with barely concealed pride. The fool thought he was subtle. At 8 o'clock, I excused myself from the reception. Told Ava I needed a moment to freshen up. Instead, I went to the hotel's media room. My laptop connected easily to the ballroom's projection system. The same screens that would display photos of Ava throughout the evening. I uploaded the files I'd prepared. Screenshots of text messages, email chains, hotel receipts, parking garage security footage, all anonymous, all damning, all true. By 8:30, the ballroom was full. 300 guests, plus media representatives from every major publication. Cameras everywhere. The perfect audience for what was about to unfold. The orchestra began the opening waltz at 9 o'clock. Ava appeared at the top of the grand staircase in the real debut gown. Not the design Genevieve had stolen, but something entirely different. Something I'd commissioned months earlier from a designer in Paris. A creation of ivory silk and silver thread that made her look like a princess from a fairy tale. Gasps echoed through the ballroom. Even the jaded fashion editors seemed impressed. This was what a debut gown should be. What Ava deserved on her special night. As she descended the stairs, I nodded to the sound engineer. The music stopped. Conversations faded. All eyes turned toward the projection screens. The first image appeared, a text message from Charles to Genevieve. "Missing you already. Can't wait until tonight." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Phones appeared as guests began recording. The second image, a hotel receipt from last month. Mr. and Mrs. Charles Sinclair. Except I'd been in London that week. More photos followed. Security footage of them entering my house together. Emails discussing their future together. Plans to leave after the debut. Start fresh in Europe. Each revelation hit like a physical blow. I watched Charles's face drain of color. Watched Genevieve search frantically for an exit that didn't exist. The fashion editors scribbled notes. The society photographers captured every moment of their humiliation. The social media influencers live-streamed their downfall to millions of followers. By the final image, the ballroom was silent except for the soft click of camera shutters. The last photograph showed Genevieve in my bathroom, wearing my robe, brushing her teeth with my toothbrush. The caption read, "When a stylist loses all sense of style." The screens went dark. The orchestra resumed playing. Conversations exploded across the room as 300 guests tried to process what they'd witnessed. James Morrison appeared at Charles's elbow with a leather portfolio. "Mr. Sinclair, you've been served." The divorce papers landed in Charles's hands like a dead weight. His board members from the bank stood nearby, whispering among themselves. Monday would bring emergency meetings and uncomfortable questions about judgment and liability. Genevieve had vanished. simply melted away into the crowd and disappeared. By midnight, her phone would be buzzing with cancellations, clients fleeing, contracts voided, a career built over 20 years destroyed in 20 minutes. I found Ava by the champagne fountain, her ivory gown still perfect despite the evening's chaos. She was talking quietly with her best friend Emma, both girls looking stunned but composed. "Mom," she said when she saw me approaching. Her voice was steady, but her eyes held new knowledge. The kind that comes from watching your childhood end in real time. "Are you all right?" I asked. She nodded slowly. Emma's mom explained everything. About Dad. About Genevieve. A pause. "About why you had to do this tonight." My throat tightened. "Ava, I'm so sorry it happened at your debut. I never wanted—" "No," she cut me off gently. "I'm glad it happened tonight, in front of everyone, so there's no hiding, no pretending." She straightened her shoulders, looking suddenly older than her 17 years. "Did you know?" she asked. "Before tonight." "For a while," I admitted. "Good." Her smile was sharp, echoing mine. "Then they can't say you were the fool." The next morning's newspapers would be brutal. Social media had already exploded with hashtags and memes. Stylist scandal was trending worldwide. Fashion Week invitations would be rescinded. Magazine features canceled. A reputation built on elegance and discretion, destroyed by arrogance and greed. Charles moved out the following week. The divorce would be swift and expensive for him. Community property laws and prenuptial agreements had their advantages when you'd been careful about documentation. Ava helped him pack. Said goodbye with dry eyes and a handshake. She'd inherited my spine along with his dark eyes. Genevieve tried calling once. I let it go to voicemail. "Claire, please, we need to talk. This is all a misunderstanding." I deleted the message without listening to the rest. Some misunderstandings were too expensive to correct. Ava left for college in the fall, carrying herself with new confidence. The scandal had made her famous in social circles, but not as a victim. As the daughter who'd handled betrayal with grace, the photos from that night would hang in society magazines for years. The perfect debutante in the perfect gown at the imperfect ball that became legendary. She called me from her dorm room that first week. "Everyone here knows about the debut," she said. "They think I'm either tragic or badass. Which do you prefer?" "Badass," she said without hesitation. "Definitely badass. I kept the house, kept the art collection, kept the social standing that came with being the wronged party in a very public betrayal. The Sinclair name still opened doors, still commanded respect, still guaranteed invitations to the best parties. And when other wives whispered about unfaithful husbands and ambitious other women, they always added the same warnings. "Just remember what happened to Genevieve Laurent." I would smile and change the subject. But the message was clear. Some people thought they could take everything from you, but sometimes all they did was hand you the stage.